Mute. Okay, here we are live. Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to our Unlimited Network Mastermind, something that we do. We get together every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to really support ourselves into this abundance and prosperity consciousness that we are all part of. And we are choosing to master the laws of the universe. And in this case, we are really doing, from my perspective, a very deep work. And we are working with the book, The Abundance Book, from Lawrence Crane. And first I want to say that today is April 30, because we do this every Saturday, so to make sure that this is the correct date for today. April 30 already, one more month, you know, like passing here. But this book, The Abundance Book, is, for me, is incredibly powerful. I mean, I'm taking this like seriously in the sense of mastering the release technique, you know, and deeply understanding that we already are this prosperity and this abundance consciousness, okay? And our job really is to let go of who we are not, you know, layers and layers and layers of conditioning and, you know, mistaken understanding about our identities and thinking that we are separated and fearful and whatever. Very, very deep work. So if you're here with us, I just want you to, I want to acknowledge you, because really this work is a strong commitment, you know, and to be here with us or to see the recording is dedication and is commitment. So I do want to acknowledge you, me, and all of us here supporting our new consciousness to have an easy, abundant, and flowing life, you know, really naturally, without effort, without having to make it, without, you know, any kind of difficulty. So that's the new level that we are reaching out, and I understand more and more this idea of, you know, like there is, yeah, our job really is to open the window, like we were learning in the first chapter or second chapter, open the window, disconnect from the mind story, you know, and to really allow whatever feeling you detect to come out from that window, come back to source, come back to light, just to let it go, let it go, let it go. That is the mastery that we are getting with this book. And last week, we started with the chapter 10, titled Financial Abundance. Finally, we are focusing a little bit on money here, that many of us, if you want, is what we were looking for, to be more fluent, you know, more abundant in our financial situation. So what this book is supporting us is to let go the different, let's say, layers of blocking ourselves, okay, from that. And last week, but I want to read the beginning that says, when we know that we have everything and therefore need nothing, then everything comes to us for the mere effortless thought of it. So this, for me, this is the way that we start this chapter from Lester Levinson. And it's just like, yes, when we know that we have everything and therefore need nothing, then everything comes to us for the mere effortless thought of it. And this knowing that is natural, is our natural state, let's say, you know, is something that we are, I hope, I expect, you know, to discover from letting go all the layers that cover that true nature or natural state, okay? And it's amazing how this book is purging out from me, for sure, because I'm sitting here, and I'm very grateful to these meetings, you know, because it's forcing me to look at it, you know, and to study, and so I totally, I don't know, I would love whoever wants to grow in this direction, just commit yourself, because it's a matter of practicing, you know. And last week we read and we start to open our awareness towards the different energy of attachment and aversion. And one of the examples that he was helping us to learn was to really do it with money. And today, so we were, you know, like all the week, you know, to see if you are attached, if you are in aversion. So all these exercises here is to start to purge out, if you want, these subtle or unconscious ways that we manage, you know, we deal with financial situation. At the end, we are the ones pushing it away. So it's so interesting to me, you know, like realizing that. And we are going to start reading in the page 62. Doc Frank is where we stopped last week, and with the suggestion here, like going deeper into the subconscious mind. So yeah, maybe we are aware of our superficial or conscious level, right? And now this book and Lawrence Crane is going to help us to go deeper, to purge, you know, deeper layers of it. So Doc Fran, with this little introduction here, is all yours territory right now. Let's go for it.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Monica. And very exciting. You know, we're really we're really on the heart of the matter, as it were, because it is very interesting to go through this exercise and deliberately look at what our true beliefs and attitudes about money are. Because, as we've learned multiple times, your beliefs, the thoughts you keep thinking, are what actually drive the manifestations in your life. And so if you're not manifesting what you say you want, then there's a disconnect between how you really feel or believe about what you say you want and what you're vibrating. So let's take a look at that, and let's go deeper into this subconscious mind. Now, can you imagine never, ever, ever having money again? This brings up a lot of energy in our subconscious mind, and that energy is resistance. Resistance effectively locks the energy of thoughts or programs in the mind, the very ones we want out. So I'm asking what I call the squeezing the lemon questions. I will be asking them often to bring up this energy in our body so we can allow it to pass through you. You will notice that you will probably be clutching, resisting, or just having a very uncomfortable feeling when you ask yourself that question. Just let that feeling come up and get rid of it. By ridding yourself of unwanted emotional feelings and thoughts, you will be moving closer and closer to opening your energy to allow the flow of abundance to come to you. So let us ask the question again and see if we have any more subconscious negative energy hidden away in our subconscious mind. Imagine never, ever, ever being able to have money again. Just put your head down and notice if there is an unwanted energy there. Let go of resisting and clutching and allow this energy to pass through. It wants to leave. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just energy, phenomena passing through. So, let's see. Let's look and see how we feel if we believe in our subconscious mind that we will never, ever, ever be able to have money again. Take a minute or two to contemplate that. Again, let us ask the question. Imagine never, ever, ever being able to have money again. You cannot have it if you wanted it. Notice it brings up a lot of clutching. How many of you have ever been in that position in your life where you've really felt that you needed more money now, more money than you had, even if you had more money than you needed, which is generally the case with everybody. But at any rate, it's a terrible feeling. Notice it brings up a lot of clutching, a lot of unwanted energy. Just allow that energy to come up and pass through, and more and even more and more. Ask yourself the squeezing the lemon question one more time. Imagine never, ever, ever being able to have money again. You cannot have it if you wanted it. I love the squeezing the lemon analogy. How many of you have ever bitten into a lemon? You know, it's like deliciously unpleasant. God, you think your cheeks are going to, you know, meet in the middle. Anyway, boy, notice how it brings up a lot of unwanted energy, but it's getting lighter. Just allow that energy to pass through, and more and more. So ask yourself that question until you absolutely have no more feelings about that subject. Isn't that interesting? It's not enough to simply ask a question one time and think intellectually that we have mastered that point. It really does have to be a process, and it's work. Now, how many of us love to do mental work on unpleasant topics that make us feel bad? Not many of us. But the reality is that until you do that work, you will constantly and forever be the victim of exactly that yo-yo phenomenon in your thinking, in your beliefs, and in your manifestations. Okay. Then there's a check. Could I let go of my entire attachment to money? If that still brings up a clutching, a wanting, a desire, just let it come up. Let go of holding on to it and allow the energy to pass through. It's just energy. It's not good. It's not bad. In other words, don't make judgments. You know, we have judgments about everything, whether we're aware of it or not. Could you let go of your entire attachment to money? Could you allow it to come up and allow it to pass through, and more and more? Continue releasing until you can say yes without any clutching, without any resistance. That is opening up the flow to further abundance and completely ridding yourself of this subconscious sabotage in the form of feelings and thoughts. Notice that you feel very light about the subject of money. That light feeling is the positive energy that you've been blocking in you with these negative feelings that you've been trying to avoid. You kept them because you did not have a better way out. Aversion to money. Let that go and stop.
Wait. What?
No.
It's just that I want to stop here. I hear my echo. Yes, now, thanks. I just want to stop here 1 second, because for me, I did this exercise. I'm doing it. I'm very aware of. I go walk around with my book, and I use every opportunity, because, like you said before, Dr. Ram, it's not, it's not like fun or pleasurable. Okay, sit down now, and just feel bad or whatever. But I want to share with all of us that when I ask myself, about I will never, ever have money, again, or, if I can let go the attachment to money or whatever. I mean, the panic that today I can see, some fear or whatever, but it's all around the need of security that at the end I define on that, it's like, okay, do I need control? Do I need security? Do I need approval? That approval was the week before, you remember? This week I was very aware of the need of control, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really about, like I feel so insecure, like I will depend, of everybody around, and I don't trust people, and my gosh, it's like, okay, here we are. Take a deep breath, very gentle, just open the window and let that go. Can I let that go? I want to let that. I just wanted to share the impact, that this lemon, the squeezing the lemon, like to really, really imagine, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm working on it. Like you said, Dr. Ann, I don't think it's a matter of, thinking one time about it or reading the book, this is huge. So I'm like, all these weeks, this last month, I'm very, like shaking out, like one day up, the other next day down, and it's like, oh my gosh. So I hope I wanted to share that to give us, like support and inspiration that, yes, it's okay maybe. I mean, for me, it's okay, because I know what I'm doing here, to really help Monica. We want to release all this conditioning, but it's not pleasant. So I wanted to share that. Thank you. Doc Fran?
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm just clicking and clicking away. Yeah, well, you're welcome, and thanks for sharing that, because that is the key. The key is actually applying this information, and implying means taking the action necessary to truly incorporate and understand what he is describing here. So, very good. Aversion to money. Let that go and stop pushing money away. We will now begin to explore aversions to money. An aversion is a desire to get away. Get that thing away from me. Why would we do something destructive to ourselves consciously? We would not, but it is your subconscious at work here. How do you know this is running? If you do not have enough money, you have a subconscious aversion to money. Aversion to money. I want to make a point here, too. is that there is a huge difference to having enough money but not having and having the perception of excessive money. So we really have to, and this is a thought I had the last time I was here with you. We might want to stop and back up and really define abundance to ourselves. What is your true belief about abundance? What defines abundance for you, and as related to money? And so I often say to people that, you know, I know that 99% of the people that I know, if not 99.9% of the people I know, have money to burn. And that's a funny question or a funny statement to make. But let me ask you the follow-up question. Do you drive an automobile? Do you put gasoline in that automobile? Well, you're literally burning money. Do you smoke cigarettes? You're really burning money. How many people do you know that walk around giving the exterior appearance and lament of being in poverty, and they smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, which is about $50 a day, or what is it, 16, 20 bucks a day on cigarettes, and a habit that will destroy them and kill them. So if you have money to spend on non-essential things in your life, you have, by definition, more money than you need. And so rather than think of what amount of money I have is insufficient, that's why we work so hard on gratitude about what we have, because only from having true gratitude about where we are can we even ever hope to move forward into a greater sphere of happiness and abundance. And it's okay to think about more money, you know, but boy, I'll tell you, it's interesting when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, and we're at the nitty-gritty now with this, about what are your true subconscious blocks to allowing yourself to have that superabundance that everyone says they want and thinks that that is what abundance is. Abundance is having a lot more money than you have right now, even though what we have is more than sufficient. Does that make sense to people? All right.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going on. I was finding my place on the page here. Aversion to money, stream of consciousness. Just let your mind think of things about the aversion. Write it down and see what you wrote or thought about wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure, and then release the want. So let's take a few minutes and do this little exercise in the book with pencil. And, you know, what do I like about money? All right, what do I like about money? It buys things. I'll be quiet. You guys can all do it quiet. All right. There's only 3 lines there. So would anybody like to share what 3 things they wrote down?
Let's see if you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you clear.
Okay. It was really strange here because I got to feeling innocent not having to justify myself to a seller if I wanted to buy something. I can just go say, I want to buy this. They're not going to ask me, why. Do you have the right motivation? Do you have, so having money makes me contact with innocence in getting what I want, because I can just pay the money. I don't even have to look them in the eye or nothing. Here's the money, give me the thing. So that was really weird.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Okay, thank you, Arnie. Yes, me, I have, well, the first thing, what do I like about money? I will say the power to do what I want. I mean, I feel so empowered, like, okay, like you were saying, Arnie, in another word, but same thing, like I can do what I want, period. And then, because I'm trying to master here if, this is a need of control or approval of security, I associate this one with control, like, another thing that I like about money is that give me independence. Again, control, security. No limit. I mean, I want how I want it, when I, with who I want. So that sensation of freedom. I love that, association with money. Like money can support me to express all of that. That's my inquiry. Thanks. Anyone else?
Yes, well, feeling of security, which is the most
Welcome, Celio. Yes.
feeling of security, for me, that's the most important. What I like about money is that security, safety, definitely, that's with capital letters. Then freedom, of course, just being able to do what I want or what I don't even want, but free to do it or not do it. And fulfilling my dreams. Once I work on my dreams, that I know what are my dreams, fulfilling them. That's something that money enables me to do. Those are the three most powerful. And I could go on with a list, but that's the three most important ones.
Thank you, Celio. Great. Candace.
For me, it provides a psychological comfort zone. Just that I know it's there to meet my needs and my wants. And really, I paused before writing "and my wants" because I really want to look at that some more. More wanting? Oh, really? So we're learning about wants differently at this point. But I love sharing with others. That's another thing, in that it hampers my free flow to not have money at times. And a lot of the time I sit here and think about it, a good portion of my life isn't involved with money. So, in other words, I can have a good time without it. But when I have it, I do things differently. It does change the way that I use my time. Because when I have money, I do different things. Or I have the option to do different things. So this is so good.
Well, that's fabulous. I really appreciate all of those answers. And what I wrote down is that money infers status. We all look up to people who seem to have more than we have, or seem to have a lot. And there's an innate respect for someone who has a 10,000 or 60,000 square foot house. We also have a negative connotation to that too, and then interesting. It provides security in the physical universe, there's no question, and it provides freedom of action. So all of us kind of touched on exactly the same things. And now my question back to each and every one of you is, are you living those states right now? Are you living in a state where you have the freedom of action? Or are you constrained? Do you feel yourself constrained? Do you have security? Do you feel secure? I would hazard a guess that every one of us on the panel is living in a state of consciousness, a state of mind in which we do have true freedom to make our decisions and do what we want to do. And we always seem to have a way to get enough money to accomplish what we set out as an immediate goal for ourselves. So that it's interesting. You know, it all goes to how do you define abundance. All right, let's continue on with our exercise. What do I dislike about money? And we'll take a couple minutes to do that. All right. This was interesting. Who have some ideas about what they wrote down on this one?
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Well, what do I dislike about money? I will say that never enough is a thought that I have associated there, and the insecurity that brings me, you know. I have to work for it. No, thank you. Something I dislike about money also, I wrote here like numbers, responsibility about to have to manage it, you know, and then what I dislike about money, I will say that a fear appear about being judged by others, you know, that think that money is not good or not spiritual or whatever, something like that, like to be judged because I have it and I do what I want when I want and blah, blah, you know, like how selfish you are, something like that. So, all that is out the window. Thank you.
So I jump in.
Anyone?
What I don't like are worries in general about taxes, you know, and safety also, because, you know, when you have a lot of money or you have a big house or a big ranch, like I used to do until 2 months ago, you have to worry about safety and about keeping all those things safe. And then definitely tax is something I don't like. And then what I don't like is the wrong use of money by other people, not because I judge the other people, but what I see in the world in general until now. You know, the wrong use in the institutions, maybe even the banks, with the governments. I think there's a lot of work to do there because people don't really understand how to use this energy called money. So that I don't like. Not money itself, but the wrong use of most people in the world. And then, of course, what you, Monica, said first, and responsibility. Not that I don't like, but it does bring this feeling in my stomach, in the chest, this responsibility thing. It's like a fear, like a worry. So that's basically my...
Thank you, Celio. Beautiful. Anyone else?
One thing that
Yes,
I noticed was the first thing that came up was, what do I not like about money? It's not mine. And it was with that energy of, oh. And so it's so great we ask these questions different ways because it'll uncover some other little hidden aspect of how I was thinking. So I love that. Let's see. Oh, this one's funny. Germs. You know, money's dirty, and that whole thinking that so many people have handled it and you don't know where their hands have been, and all that kind of thinking that, you know, anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. And but I also noticed that it can bring stress, whether you have a lot of it or a little. Celio just mentioned, you know, he had to do certain things because he he still has a lot of it. And then of course we've all covered the not enough money types of stresses. So that's my thought.
Nice, thank you. I love that we explore. Yes, Arnie.
In the wrong hands, money have the power to do bad stuff and hurt people. So that I dislike that about money, and the struggle or the work involved in accumulating it and keeping it and protecting it and being responsible for it. So the work involved, the struggle, I dislike that about money too.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Very interesting. And when we listen to this playback, I think it'll be interesting for you guys to hear your comments. I only wrote down one thing, and then I was blocked. It's used to define people. That's my one aversion to money, because basically everything else about money I really kind of like. And it's interesting to note that we inject judgments about social consciousness, and you know, money in and of itself is simply what Celio said. It is a form of energy, and money has no judgments. It will flow in whatever direction it is, and it's up to the character of that individual to use or disuse money according to his beliefs. And I've often heard the expression that, you know, money either makes the man or breaks the man. It makes you more of what you are, or it destroys you. And so those, again, are factors outside of money as an object, or money as a form of energy. And, you know, flowing. I kept thinking about when you were talking about this and the misuse of money. There was a program, I saw a documentary about a Mexican or a Colombian drug lord who, when they finally raided his compound, he had $9 billion in cash, U.S. cash, in his house. $9 billion. The place was a palace. He had over 100 solid gold machine guns, where the entire machine, I mean, you know, it reaches a point where you simply run out of uses. There's nothing else, there's not enough stuff in the world for you to buy. No matter what's he going to do with $9 billion, it's really a problem. He had to keep building bigger and bigger rooms in his compound just to stash all this extra money, you know. And then, as Celio says, you know, then you worry about the safety and security. Here he is with all these billions of dollars, and what's he need to do with it? He has to hire armed guards patrolling his ground 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, hoping that somebody doesn't break through and kill him to get his money or take it away from him. So, you know, it really is interesting when you look at the continuum from no money to absolute, unimaginable, infinite excesses of money. And our reactions and beliefs about that entire spectrum are all built into us and acting on us all the time.
Maybe that's why. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Maybe that's why, the truth, or like Abraham Hicks is talking about too, The truth is about money and wealth and dreams. First, we start to need to know what we want and start to vibrate it with it, and then it will manifest. So with that kind of law, we will have what we want, but we will not have excess that we need to protect and hide away and all that stuff that we will never ever use. So working from the other way around, instead of getting the money and then I decide what I want to do with it, or maybe I can't even find a way to do with it because I have too much. So then that money has no purpose. Instead of the way it really is, first I have to have some kind of desire, and then I start to love that desire and start vibrate with it, and then it will manifest, and the money needed for it, or however it's gonna come in. So in that way, it looks like the universe have created the right kind of manifestation process, and not over excessive, unnecessary. And I'm just realizing how perfect it is going the other way around.
Well, thanks, Arnie. Yeah, that's it's an interesting perspective, and that's one of the fun things about having your viewpoints stimulated, so that you can view a common subject or object from different viewpoints. And as spiritual beings, we literally have infinite viewpoints on every subject or object in our sphere of experience. All right, imagine always having money. Let go of clutching or resisting the feeling it brings up in your stomach or chest. Keep releasing until there are no more feelings in your stomach or chest. Just imagine always having money. How many people on this call have truly lived an entire lifetime always having money? I would hazard a guess that all of us on this call have always had money, regardless of the source of that money. And it's interesting on this note, how many success stories do you have? How many meteoric success stories do you know about people who were in truly abject poverty, in the most dire straits imaginable, and from that point of absolute lack, they went on to create themselves as multimillionaires or even billionaires. Very common thread. I often say that the biggest impediment to me having excessive money in my life is the fact that I grew up in a middle-class family with enough money to never have a feeling of absolute need for money. I never worried about money in my entire life. It's just an interesting phenomenon. Could I let go of my entire aversion to money? Oh, and then I'll finish out that thought. How many have heard the stories about great fortunes that were made by grandparents or parents and passed down to the kids who grew up in a constant stream of excess affluence, and when they were given control of the flow of that money, it took them less than a generation to destroy everything that had been created before. So, our beliefs about money truly control the disposition and manifestation of the money that we have at our disposal, whether it is too little, just enough, more than enough, or excessive. We are going to find ways to bring our manifestation in line with our true vibrational beliefs about money. Could I let go of my entire aversion to money? Keep letting go until you can say yes 100% with no clutching or resistance. So when you think of the subject of an aversion to money, what feeling or thought does that bring up? Write those feelings under the stream of consciousness section on the diagram. And whichever feeling or thought that comes up, can you see that as wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe or secure? And whichever one it brings up, could you just let it pass through and more and more. If this leads you into wanting to figure it out, could you let go of wanting to figure it out? And more and more. Look at your aversion to money again. Maybe what comes up is, I do not deserve it. I'm not a good enough person. I don't have the right job. Whatever comes up, could you see that as either wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure? And could you let go of those wants and more and even more? Keep bringing up thoughts and feelings about the aversion to money until you have no more, and then move on. Now, it's interesting to point out here that Lawrence indicates very strongly in every one of these chapters, and in fact the basic philosophy behind this release technique is that there is a finite number of aversions or impediments to acquisition of what we say we want. It's not an infinite. It would be a hopeless situation if there were infinite aversions that we all had to work through before we could achieve our manifestation. You know, that would be a true Nietzschean condition where all is worthless, all is nothing. There is no need for effort because no effort is ever sufficient to produce a desired result. Interesting things. We will now ask some questions that are similar to advantages and disadvantages, but the mind is tricky. Therefore, we have discovered that by asking a question a little differently, it might bring up something different. If it brings up the same thing, that means you have not totally released on it. So then just release on it from that point of view. So what do you like about money? Does that bring up a feeling of wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure? And whichever want it brings up in you, could you let go of either wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe or secure? And what do you dislike about money? Is that a feeling of wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting safety and security? Remember that it also just an unwanted energy. Just allow it to come up and allow it to pass through. What do you like about money? Does that bring up a feeling of wanting approval, control, or safety and security? Whichever one it brings up, could you just allow it to leave, and more and even more? And what do you dislike about money? Is that a feeling of wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting safety or security? And whichever want that it brings up, could you just let it go? Either wanting approval, control, safety, or security, and more and more. Keep going back and forth until you have no more likes or dislikes about money, and then move on. Let's ask the squeezing the lemon question again with regard to your aversion to money. Imagine always having money. You're loaded with it. See if that brings up a clutching or resistance, an unwanted feeling in your stomach or your chest area, and just allow it to come up and pass through. I always laughed at people when I was building my network marketing businesses in the early years. I would have people come up to me and say, well, you know, I can't earn any more money because I'm on Social Security, or I can't earn any more money because it'll put me in a higher tax bracket. Are you freaking out of your mind? You know, I mean, the happiest days of my life were the days I had to pay taxes. Do you know why? Because that meant I made money. I made a lot of money. I made more money than I needed, and the government said, you have too much money. You need to pay more of your share of the expenses of this nation. You know, it's actually a blessing. I just had to shake my head and laugh, and I said, well, fine. I hope you always have enough money for those cigarettes that are killing you. But that's a judgmental comment. I'm so sorry. You just might be surprised that you have a lot of resistance to having money. Are any of you surprised at that? Don't try to understand it. Just let go of the energy and more and even more. And let's ask the squeezing the lemon question again. Imagine always having money. You're loaded with it. No matter what happens, you've got it. You can't get away from it. See if that brings up an unwanted energy, a strange feeling, a resistance, a clutching feeling in your stomach or chest area. Could you allow that energy to come up? It's the subconscious thoughts and feelings that are stopping you from having abundance. Allow it to come up and allow it to pass through. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just phenomena. Remember, we don't always have to figure out a splinter. If you notice it's there, what's the difference, how it got there, what color it is, how big it is, or who gave it to you? Just take a tweezer and pull it out. And that's what we're doing. Just allow that energy to leave, to pass through. Don't try to make sense out of subconscious negative thoughts and feelings. Now, let's squeeze the lemon again. Imagine always, always having money. You're loaded with it. You can't get away from it. And you know what to do. Release the resistance of clutching energy. Back to you, Monica.
Woo-hoo! Oh my God. Well, I love the squeezing the lemon thing, because it's true that, you know, you really look for deeper layers of whatever it is that coming up. So I just want to support all of us here to do it, you know, to keep asking the question, you know, and to keep working on it. Like, to me, something that I discovered, for example, doing it yesterday, I spent like maybe 2 hours reading this and writing down, you know, and really feeling. So it is a dedication. That's what I want to share with you, you know, like, bring the topic up. I would love to do this, you know, maybe to have a partner or something that you can ask and wait and see, whatever. It can be even fun, you know. But yesterday, for example, you know, I found something that just a thought and a feeling inside myself that was saying it's not for me to have it, you know, like about money. And it's so funny because the sense of, you know, like how much, I think at the end I ended up discovering that that really come from, if I have to define, is this need of control, need of approval, or need of safety, you know, I definitely go back to the need of approval, you know, to the need of having to be worth it, you know, like deserve it or something like that. So it was very beautiful to stay there for a moment and to open the window, you know, and okay, to let that go, and to let that flow out, really. Not that I'm doing anything more than that, you know, but I love the inquiry because it really brings up, you know, it's like purging, and for me it's been very powerful, and like I tell you, you know, I have these days that I feel dense, like something is moving here, so oof, I have to stop constantly, you know, like what is really going on? Can I let that go, you know? And it's like 24 hours, you know, attention and awareness, so amazing. So I just love that we have this opportunity, and I don't know if you have, you know, something to share, any one of you, or questions of how we apply this, because again, we can read the book and it's wonderful, you know, but the do it, you know, how can we, you know, practice this constantly, you know, like imagine yourself with a lot of money, like there is no any, you know, like I don't know, any problem with money, you have abundance of it, you know, how there is any resistance to that. And to me, I get the you know, like, okay. And that's what I think I can open the window to let go the insecurity that brings me, you know, like not capable to handle it. I mean, there is a lot of thoughts, you know, that are associated with that. So that's what I have to say. And I would love to see if anyone would like to, yes, Arne, no, I don't know if you want to talk or not. Did you want to? I see your video, but I don't see your microphone open.
I do, Monica.
Yes, tell you, go for it, honey.
That's very short. What I really love when Dr. Fran was reading about this technique, and I think it's very powerful, is that it goes through like an arrow from finding out beliefs and investigating about the subconscious, because then we're lost in regarding to money or to anything else in life. But in this context of money, I just love the power because it goes beyond the subconscious, because otherwise you start dwelling in the subconscious, and then all the shit, forgive me for the word, for being blatant, but you know, it's just, it goes beyond, just goes through like a speed train, you know. It's like you don't dwell into finding out the subconscious reason that, you know, your family, your, like in my case, you know, that Dr. Frank mentioned before, you know, it's an example of that. My grandfather was very wealthy, my father too. I mean, you know, generations, and then the other generation lost it, and then I'm making it again, and then I don't want to think about that so much. I just want to apply all this learning in my present moment, and I know I'm making it because I'm applying it and applying this technique, and it's very powerful because you don't waste time dwelling in the subconscious of yourself and other people and the world. You just go, you take the train, the speed train, to to success. That's the whole point to me, and the beauty of this technique is very powerful from that point of view. And I keep using it not only with money, but lately this last week with relations and people around, and even with astrology. I just go whenever I feel that thing. Just get rid of it.
Thank you, Celia. I love what you said as an experience here, because I think, like, for example, yesterday when I discovered, like, it's not for me to have it, a little bit to associate what you were saying here, was really the entire story of my childhood came in, and I can, entertain myself there. Oh yeah, because and it's not about that. Like he says, who cares where it comes from? The thing is, you are feeling it right now. What it is that you are feeling right now, and this sense of, not deserving, or, like, I'm not part, I don't belong. We can put the words, but the feeling was really there, So to allow that to go out, I think, for sure, I believe, I mean, this is my understanding here, we are growing in awareness. That at the end is spiritual awakening, So I love that we have this opportunity, and to don't get entertained with it. And like you said, Celio, to me, it's becoming like, this is like, I committed, to study this book and to apply and to practice to see if that works, and it's a 24-hour work. It's amazing. It's like I am in constant or control, or need of approval. It's like, oh my God. And to be gentle with that, like to really understand that these are the biggest result of my own ignorance, from whoever, thousands of years, But to really understand that this is the opportunity, for me to open my hands, to open my heart, to open my window here, and to let that go, constantly. I mean, the addiction to control, amazing, I mean, it's like, okay, here we are again. Okay, all right, be gentle with it instead of judgmental, But like you said, Celio, is 24 hours a day, Arnie, yes?
Yeah, this method here with the release, it helps me a bit with my fear of having money, that I would get attached to it, and maybe not spiritual, and so it would be something that would keep me away from having it and getting it, because I'm afraid I will not misuse it to hurt people, but inhibit my own spiritual growth. But with the release technique, that actually includes that. So when I have the money, if I feel the attachment, or that it's inhibiting me in some way, I can do the practice of releasing it and not have the ramification that I'm afraid that it would have, that I will be stuck with not a spiritual consciousness. So just go back to the release and release that. That opens the more freedom for me to access that, to allow myself to access that.
Good. Opening the space to allow this all freedom. To me, it's so funny, because I lately, when you were saying that, Arne, I feel inside, oh my gosh, with all the money in the world, Celio, we create that center that we want to create. I go to retreats to Thailand, to Peru, to whatever, it's like, woohoo, all dedicated to my spiritual awakening and supporting human beings to wake up spiritually talking, is where I see the entire illusion of limitation and suffering here, So beautiful, and I think to release that fear and that association with of the bad use of money or whatever is such an unconscious, and it's funny because it's very one thing that I notice a lot, is like I touch my own feelings here, but at the end I'm very aware lately that I am part of the collective, like you were saying before, Celio, about governments, or I don't remember who, both of you, about governments and how bad they're using. All these are thoughts that are part of the collective, and for me to let that window, to open the window and to let that go, is my little drop, of opening for the entire universe, I suppose. So I love that, this opportunity that we have,
I
Okay,
like
Candace, I see your microphone
like that
open.
I like that you are being gentle with yourself in that whole process, and that. And then you came to the point that I wanted to remind us too that when we clean up what's going on in ourselves, we help everybody, even in that little small way. So I think that's a good perspective to come back to occasionally to uh, help inspire us to keep on going. Keep on going. Interesting today, letting go of, let's see, thinking about never being able to have any money. And so when I went inside to look again, because I've been doing this work, I saw it was like one little last penny lying on the ground, way or down in some, not the ground, but someplace where everything was around it was blank and it was empty. It was the last penny. And then that would be picked up, and there was a little shadow where it was left. The poor little thing was the last one. And so then there was no money at all. And I did see that I actually had a place in me that thought there could run out of money. And I went, oh my gosh, what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to be here, not be worried about it, and to realize that it is a completely false notion that was hanging out in my system somewhere, my being. And to be able to release that, and to release it and to care as much or as little about that as I cared about having that whole space completely full of money. I've seen pictures of those rooms of, well, actually of the Queen walking through the gold depository in Britain, which is, you know, she supposedly at least is or was the wealthiest woman in the world, the Queen Elizabeth. So I've seen her walking through her storerooms of gold bullions. And I've seen those stacks of money like Doc Van was talking about with the drug lords, you know, where it's all piled up in the garage so big in a big block of just banks, you know, tons of money. So so from going to that, from that empty extreme to the other, I noticed I felt the same. Oh, that's nice, no big deal. And I'm really, really, oh, I just am feeling a lot of gratitude and appreciation right now for this work that's bringing us to that openness. What's left from there is a freedom that is pretty astonishing and completely, completely versatile and flexible, that we can do anything we want. You know, it's great. And Arnie, I really appreciate that you brought up that, you know, that dark side to money, that it cannot be, that it can be used for not good things, for bad things. So that was, it's important to remember the spectrum of possibilities when we have a lot or a little. Someone once said to me that that's when you can tell the true character of a human being is when they're ill, very ill, or when they have money. And that's when who they really are in there comes out. And I've found that to be sort of a litmus test of where somebody is. You know, I found that a helpful comment as I use my own discernment in life. Thank you. This was a good one today, as always. And we're wishing Jay very well.
Thank you. Good. Good. I would just want to say about the character of a person. Yeah, it's a character, but it's not who they are. We're all the same, and we all have attached thoughts. So certain people they have thoughts that they hang on to, and then make them not a good character, and other people are attaching themselves to good thoughts. But it's just what those people are at that moment. They could attach other thoughts they will be different people, appear as different people. So I just don't want to make it real that anybody is not a divine being.
Thank you, Arne. I love that, and again, it's amazing that it's just an idea, you know, a thought. We have that idea that can be bad used, and here we go. We are going to see it somewhere, you know. So it's really a matter of us inside, you know. I'm willing to let go of that idea, of that sensation, of that possibility, you know. Just I'm willing to let that go and see, and then maybe you are, and free, more free, you know. Great. So we are completing our time here together. I mean, this is powerful. I just would like to inspire all of us here, and the ones that you are looking at the recording, you know, to spend the week, next week, you know, to read this chapter again and to insist, because, you know, it's beautiful to me. I feel like life by itself is already teaching me this. From having a lot, you know, like first unconscious about money, 14 years, medical doctor, really flowing and whatever. And then, you know, to choose to have this battle inside, then on money, because look, I don't know, this collective understanding, you know, of money and spirituality don't go together. That's all to me right now. But, you know, the consequences went there to suddenly, you know, like one money. I mean, what a journey. And I ended up living with a very, very little amount of money every month. And I could work hard. I could promote a lot my business and my coaching and my workshops or whatever. For whatever reason, I didn't feel the energy to do that. And the realization really is that, look what amazing, luxurious, wonderful life I have right here, right now, today, okay? Surrounded by beauty, abundance, purity, air, beaches, nature, you know, love. I mean, people that I can grow with. And I mean, I love my life, okay? So at the end, I think that we can accelerate the process of really letting go the fear of not having money by investigating, you know? So maybe you don't have to go through this stage because you learn it, you know, without having to manifest the physicality of it. But what I wanted to share, or to arrive to the point that I want to arrive here, is that we have this power to purge, you know, like to really invoke, okay, what it is that, you know, I like about it, what it is that I hate about it, and all these are attachments, you know. So let it go, let it go, let it go. So if you feel connected to, please spend a week, read it again, ask again the questions, squeeze the lemon more and more until, you know, there is super comfort, you know, and or everything is open and you know, and peaceful and safe and naturally, without us having to do anything for it. And next week we will start with the chapter 11, and we will learn more about attachments and aversions. So I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. And next Saturday, that will be May 7 already. We will get together again at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.